So there's a pretty interesting rumor surrounding the new James Bond movie. If you didn't know, little quick history. This movie was supposed to come out in April. They've pushed it to November. I think November 12th for the UK and then the 25th for America. And that's not that crazy considering that they're saying on the surface that it's because of CV and because of everything going on. They don't want to lose any money, so they're pushing it for maximum profits, which, kind of does make sense. However, I don't think that's the full story. So Midnight's Edge has come out with a rumor. So, this is rumor. Take it with a grain of salt. That the reason that they're pushing this movie back or pushing this movie up is so that, they can do reshoots. And one of the reasons that they're doing reshoots, well, the test screenings aren't going that well. Now, this film is fully done. Everything's done. It comes out next month. Maybe they're doing some touches on the effects here and there, but for the most part, the movie's finished. So test screening this film, very plausible. Now, according to Midnight's Edge, those test screenings aren't going so well. And what are the reasons for that? Well, it's supposed to be a big woke fest, right? I mean, just going off the trailers, it's kind of not, it's kind of hard to see, but when you look at the leaks that have come out on this movie, how, James Bond is the butt of every joke and how they kind of put him down the whole movie and they prop up that new female spy to be the big badass and he's a relic of the past. Basically, what it sounds like is you're going to go see this movie to see your favorite character become a laughingstock and a joke, which doesn't make sense to me. If I'm going to see a James Bond movie, I'm going to see James Bond be a badass, do some drinking, drive fast cars, and get laid a little bit, That's like pretty much the formula for every single James Bond movie that's come before it. The Daniel Craig movies have been a little bit different because they've been born into the woke era. I think I do think that Skyfall and Casino Royale are actually really good movies, but 2 out of 4 is not the greatest. Spectre and I forget the other one, the one where he's like fighting the oil company or whatever it was. I can't remember the name. That one wasn't very good. But it sounds like this film is pretty much James Bond being the joke of the movie to prop up the new female spy so they can give her a spinoff. They're 100% going to give her a spinoff. I guarantee it. That's like the whole point of putting her in this movie and having her kind of make him look like a joke. I'll never understand why companies seem to think that, making the star of a franchise a pile of trash is going to make them money. Disney tried to do it with The Last Jedi, where they tried to make Luke Skywalker a pile of garbage, and they thought that would go over well, and it was a massive backfire. But we've all seen the damage that has happened to Disney Star Wars, and I don't think it's going to work out very well for them with James Bond here. No one wants to see James Bond get made into a laughingstock. If I wanted that film, I would go watch Austin Powers. Don't want to watch James Bond be a joke. So here's who's reporting it, and they're reporting off of Midnight's Edge's video. Midnight's Edge, good channel, friend of the channel. Check them out. New rumor details James Bond film No Time to Die delayed for reshoots after poor test screening. A new rumor details that the recently delayed James Bond film No Time to Die might have actually been delayed for reshoots after a poor test screening rather than the implied reason being CV. That, of course, being the word right there. I'm not going to say that word because that's not really what the video is about, and YouTube will suppress the video if I make that the subject. So they're reporting this came out of Midnight's Edge. Great channel. Friends of the channel, like I said. Midnight's Edge details, sources have informed Midnight's Edge that a recent test screening of No Time to Die did not go well. They continue, though we do not have specifics about what was ill-received by test audiences, we are being told that they are scheduling 2 pieces of reshoots to last 12 to 14 days and that they are using the epidemic thing going on to cover bad publicity, which makes sense. I mean, it's a perfect time to do it, right? So here's the new release date, November 12th for UK and November 25th for the US. This, to me, makes a ton of sense. I do think that this is real. It sounds real. And think about it. It's a good way to cover your tracks. You know, you can use the topic of discussion right now that's all over the news to say, hey, we need to put this film, we're just going to move it over so that we can save money. It makes sense. And they would definitely be doing test screenings right now. The film's done. It's pretty much done. They're maybe working on a couple effects, like I said. The film is pretty much done. You have all of this time to do some reshoots. You have months. I mean, they could practically probably reshoot half of the film right now if they wanted to. And I imagine they're going to do a lot of reshoots. Probably to make it as less woke as they can. And to make James Bond maybe a little bit more manly or something. Make him into a jackass like it sounds like they were doing. And this now confirms to me all of those rumors about this film. You know, making him a joke and, you know, second fiddle to the new female Bond. It sounds like that's probably the truth. And like I said, nobody that's a fan of James Bond wants to see that. And as much as they want to make these films for everybody, and, you know, I do think the more recent James Bond films have been for everybody, they basically took what they could from the Bourne movies and turned it into a Bond film and took out a lot of the crazy stuff that you see in Bond movies, which I think applies to everyone's likes for a movie. You know, you're not kind of making it this niche thing. But I do think that, you know, and for some reason, companies seem to think that this whole woke thing is going to be a success. They're doubling down on it all the time. Well, we didn't quite get the wokeness right this time. Let's try it again. It's going to keep trying it again. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But I think, you know, they got some real people in there for the test screenings, and they were like, this is trash. We do not want to see this film. And it was really bad. So they're like, well, we got this whole thing going on. Let's just delay it and fix the film. So hopefully, I mean, maybe this is good news. I'd rather have a good James Bond movie than a bad one. I really would. So, like I said, this appears to be rumor. However, I think that it's likely true, which is why I want to make this video and just talk about it. So, check everybody out involved down in the Comics Midnight's Edge. Tell me your thoughts on this. What did you think? Give me your thoughts on this. Do you think this is true or not? Also, like the video if you would. Maybe consider sharing the video. That would be pretty cool too. Make sure you still subscribe. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, take a moment. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. There's something going on right now, and they've been unsubscribing people. So just take a second and double check on that, and subscribe if you're new.